Good evening, everybody. Yesterday was Canada Day, and since I turned my plane over to the avionics shop on the last long weekend, I thought I'd give you a quick update on how the instrument panel upgrade's going. For my American friends who don't know, Canada Day is basically our Independence Day, except it's July 1st, not 4th, and instead of using muskets to kick out the British, we politely asked them if they wouldn't mind leaving and letting us run our own country, and a short 115 years later, they finally agreed. Anyway, for Canada Day, we went down to beautiful Niagara Falls because that's the thing you do when you have relatives visiting from another country. My plane wasn't with me though. It's been with the avionics shop for the past 4+ weeks. The shop initially thought it would take about 2 weeks, but a number of things have made that drag out a bit. In fact, for the first few weeks, they couldn't even take it into their shop, so they were working on it in my hangar whenever they had time. My avionics shop started the work on Oscar yesterday, so I thought I'd come out to the hangar and take a look. Got a message this morning that apparently they've already removed all the old instruments, and they're already in the process of building the harness for the GTN 650. So, drove on out here, thought I would take a look, see what it looks like. It didn't take long for the shop to remove all the old instruments, leaving a very bare-looking panel. And it wasn't until all those old things were out that I really saw just how worn and scratched up and old everything was looking. The panel itself was scratched and stained and looked like crap. And the instruments, well, let's take a look. Collins Navcom, gone. ADF, gone. Well, that's the control head. Airspeed indicator, vacuum gauge, ADF instrument, gone. Wasn't working anyway. Attitude indicator, it was starting to act up a little bit, so I'm glad that's gone. Oh, an altitude encoder down there. Altimeter, VSI, CDI, and that's my turn coordinator. I actually already have a buyer for this thing. I've gone back a couple of times, but frankly there hasn't been a whole lot to look at, because most of the work for the first couple of weeks was just removing all the old crap and preparing the wiring harnesses to connect the new equipment into the panel. As for why it's taken so long, well, first, the plane in front of me has taken a lot longer than expected because the owner kept making changes and adding one thing after another during the upgrade. I wish I could be annoyed at him, but frankly I've done the same thing myself. But finally, a week and a half ago, they were able to take the plane into their hangar and start the work for real. This is the new magnetometer that's going to provide the magnetic heading to the GI-275s. It's mounted here in the right wingtip, and the guys need to run the wire through the wing, which apparently is a bit of a pain to do. For now, the plane's sitting in this hollowed out state with all the instruments removed. And the more I looked at it in this state, the more I realized that I do want to get a new panel cut. I talked about that with the shop, but apparently the upper and lower panels in the Sierra are actually one piece that's structural in nature, so it's a much bigger job to replace the panel than we initially thought. And so instead of getting a new panel cut, we're just getting an overlay made that'll sit on top of the panel. Aesthetically, it'll look exactly the same as a new panel, but it's a lot easier and cheaper, even if it does have a few minor downsides. I mocked up what I'd want the new panel to look like, and then the guys at the shop worked up a CAD drawing of what the overlay would look like. After some back and forth on the placement of some details, we settled on this mock-up that shows the new overlay with the equipment in place. It should be a lot cleaner than the old panel, and we've moved a lot of the circuit breakers and switches around, which were kind of haphazardly placed on the panel over the years as different owners added things to it piecemeal. The test panel has already arrived for fitting, and they've already sent it back for the final cut, painting, and silk screening. The new overlay is supposed to arrive on Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, and then the shop can start to properly install all the equipment and begin the testing. I'm hopeful that within a week to 10 days, I should have Oscar back and ready for the familiarization flights. In the meantime, I've been busy reading the pilot's guides and manuals for the GI-275 and the GTN 650XI, and I've been running through scenarios on Garmin's GTN Trainer app. I've played with both the iPad and the PC versions of the GTN Trainer, and both are good at different things. Overall, I'd say I like the PC version a bit better, because you can set up a G3X or similar flight display next to the GTN and track along with the simulated flight while it's happening. On the iPad version, you can really only see what's happening on the GTN itself, which doesn't really feel very realistic and means you're constantly switching back and forth between different screens on the unit itself just to see where you are in the flight. On top of that, the controls they added on the iPad version to change the speed, altitude, and heading are kind of kludgy, which breaks the realism of the trainer. Having the flight display and the controls in their own little apps makes the simulator a lot more usable and helpful from a training perspective. Using the trainer app has been a great way to start to learn the GTN. Having a GNS already made the GTN a bit easier, but this trainer has really helped me feel comfortable with the unit before even getting in front of it in the plane. Something I wish Garmin had done, though, was build a similar trainer app for the GI275. They have apps for the GNS units, the GTNs, the GTN XIs, flight displays like the G3X Touch, and even for the G5. But for some reason, they have not made one for the GI275, which feels like a real miss to me. Also, I couldn't find an add-on for either X-Plane or Microsoft Flight Simulator to put a GI275 into a plane in one of those apps. That would have been a great alternative, but no such luck. That's it for now. Another week or two and I should be up in the air with my new panel. I hope you'll come back and see the videos I'll put up here showing how the panel turned out and some of the key features as I go through some familiarization flights before heading to Oshkosh later this month. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and in the meantime, fly safe. I know I wish I was up there flying right now.